And, okay, we're starting late, 7 minutes after 10. Sorry about that. To clarify something that I said last week in regards to public input, I want to clarify it. What I meant to say was we're not going to get into a debate as to questions that might arise or items and so forth. Yes, we will try to answer some of the easy questions they answer, and if we have to go back and come back again another week to answer the questions that you might have, we will do that. So I just wanted to clarify that. It wasn't a case that I was going to shut off public input. Commissioner Babson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad you said that, because last week it sounded like we were going not to kind of take public input, and it's my opinion that they can sit home and watch, people can watch the video as much as they want, but they don't have the opportunity to interact unless they come here. And if they come here, they ought to have the opportunity to say anything they want to say. I agree with you, we won't get into a discussion or
A debate.
or debate over what's said, but I firmly believe that that's the public's opportunity to tell us how they're feeling or even give us some help. And I'm glad you made that change, because as you said it last week, I disagree with you.
Okay. So we're into public input. Anybody have public input? Yes, sir?
Hi, I'm Rich Zacher from Brookfield, and I try to find out something about the operations of the county.
Yeah.
When I go to the website, I can't find a lot of stuff. For example, when are you open, when are you closed? I called the switchboard, no one answers. So I'm at a loss for when you're open. I also go to the website to try to find out when you folks meet. So I don't know where you post your meetings, to schedule your meetings. Would be helpful if they were on the website.
Yeah.
Answer that?
HR, can you want to answer?
Yes, sir, I was going to say, it is on the website. Yes, it's confusing, because I had a hard time finding it to begin with. You go to the calendar, and on the right-hand side on the homepage, it's there every week. The office is open at 8 o'clock.
8 to 5.
Sometimes the girls are on the phone, so it rings, but they're always there. We always have someone here at 8 o'clock, and most of them, we've got such good employees. Most of the time, they're supposed to leave at 4, and they're here at 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock.
Well, I was calling on a snow day to find out whether you were open, and I assumed when the phone continued to ring and ring and ring, you were closed.
That's a good point, because last week we had a discussion addressing that, because there was confusion whether we were going to be open, and the policy, how did we end up, what were we going to use for it?
We're going to contact the communications center, because they get reports in from the sheriff's department as to what the road conditions are throughout the area. And one of the snow dates that we had, there was no school, so we were also looking at the Ossipee school system. When they're closed, we would be closed. But in that particular case, they were already on vacation, so there was no announcement made. So there was some issues there that we didn't have.
One of the things we ought to do is make sure it's on the webpage, how we're going to operate this from now on.
Yeah, now,
Like a contact number, because I didn't want to call the sheriff. I didn't think that was appropriate. I just assumed, when no one picked up after a while, that you were indeed closed.
yeah.
We're going to try to have it so that if we are closed, that it will be on the website. We just need to be able to get whomever is here at that time to be able to have access to
Okay,
put it
so
on.
in case of a Monday snowstorm,
Right,
who are we going to contact on Sunday to get it on the website?
and that's what we have to work out with the commissioners and with whomever has the ability to change the website and put
Somebody
it
would
on
have to
there.
do it from home, probably.
Exactly, yeah. So
Do you
we'll.
have a comment?
Could you also call it down to WMUR, because a lot of times when there's catastrophic closures, a lot of the town halls, libraries, churches
Yeah.
also scroll on WMUR. I know Cheshire said all their county offices were closed and stuff like that, so somebody could do that from home because they have the number for cancellations that you call in and they put it up on the bottom of their screen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Brown?
Excuse me, can you tell us why the meeting didn't start till 10 o'clock this morning?
Because that's when we scheduled it. We were invited to breakfast over at the nursing home this morning. We didn't have an awful lot on the agenda, and as you can see, we're going to be here at 1 o'clock for non-public. And so it was decided by Commissioner Babson yesterday or the day before that we would start at 10 o'clock.
Trash contract and the non-public?
It's a contract, and we'll explain it after we have the non-public, as to why it's non-public. There are reasons for it.
Well, you have it listed under claims and litigation. Is that accurate? Because I'm having a problem how a trash contract goes over to and meets the criteria of a non-public meeting under the RSA.
It should be under contracts, under the 91A, under
I-
contracts, union contracts, investigations, those kinds of things.
That's not a union
It
contract,
is not, it is not.
so it wouldn't be covered under union contract, and I don't believe contracts, just a contract meets the criteria of non-public under the RSA. So if you could please explain to us how a trash contract meets the criteria under RSA 91A, please.
I think we can do this.
I would say to Mr. Brown, he's in here frequently complaining about the high cost of government. If he would like us to make this public, we'd be more than glad to.
Okay.
We're telling you that for your best interest, that it should go under litigation, and once it's finalized, we'll tell you what it is. If you want to give away the county's money, you go right ahead, Mr. Brown.
Oh, wait a minute, Commissioner Babson.
All right, we're not gonna get into
Commissioner
debate here.
Sorensen just stated it was not litigation. Now you're saying it is litigation.
No, it isn't
It
litigation,
isn't
it's a
litigation.
contract.
It's a contract. I think we could probably discuss it here, because it probably won't leave here. But the reason, I'm gonna do it, and the reason we're doing this is because we have 3 people that were requested to put a bid in. 2 of them decided they didn't want to bid, so we got this other one that we're gonna act on today. Now, if that one that put in the bid finds out that the other 2 didn't bid, then they may jack the price up on us. That's why we put it under non-public, so that we could get that contract out of the way, and then we could open it up and let the public know. That's the reason why we put it there, okay? We didn't want to bring it out in public, because if we did, then the other 2 people that were contacted that decided that they would not put a bid in, then it leaves that 3rd one that
Do whatever they want.
do whatever they
We
want.
can thank you for the pricing.
But isn't it already closed?
No,
No, that's why it's on the agenda. We were going to talk about it then.
No, did this go out to bid?
That's a good question. 3 people were contacted, I know that, and that's the 3 people that are in the area. North Conway incinerator was one.
Casella,
What?
Casella.
Casella,
And
and the present,
waste.
Waste Management.
Okay,
Waste
but,
Management was the one that put in the bid.
but on a bid, there's usually a closing date. Has it,
Was there a
has there been
formal
a?
bid, Mr. Brown? There was not. I personally went up after North Conway incinerator came down here and said they didn't want to bid it. I went up to ask them to see if they would bid it. They said no. Casella, we invited them in here. They said no, they want to bid it. Now we have Waste who can do whatever they want. And, you know, we were trying to protect your dollar, but apparently you don't want us to.
That's not what I said, Commissioner
That's
Babson.
what it sounded like to me.
Well, that's clearly not what I'm saying. You still have to meet the requirements of state law.
Okay, we'll go out for bid. And I can guarantee you, we'll get a pretty good price increase.
Yeah.
you don't have to accept it.
We don't have anywhere else to go. We just told you, the three people that are
Only three people
capable of
in
bidding on it, two of them have said no. That leaves us with one. And they currently have it.
Then, you know, break the law. I don't, you know,
That was my explanation for your question, okay? That's why we put it under, the reason why we put it under there. Because we want to take action on it before it went out public.
I have a comment on that. I didn't even know that two other people bid on it, that you called them. Can I also have the two companies' names?
We just gave them to you, North Conway Incinerator and Casella. And they both come in here.
Okay, any other further
Are we
input?
talking about the existing contract or is this a new one?
I think the existing contract is coming up, right?
So what is
No.
this trash contract? What
The one-
is it?
The contract we have now is up August 1st.
Okay,
We went to the other two to see if they wanted to bid. They said no. Waste Management made a proposal to extend it for two more years. Now, if we go out for bid, they can do whatever they want. We got price savings before, so we'll go out for bid.
But the contract come up August 1st?
yeah.
I gave you the contract. You came home and copied the contract, Commissioner, and took it home. Did you read it? I sent you a letter asking you to be prepared. Did you read it?
I am, yes.
Well, I don't think, doesn't sound like it to me.
Well, August 1st is a long time. I mean, why do we want to discuss it now?
I'd hate to have trash pile up outside of the nursing home. I think we're looking at it, investigating and find out where we can get the best price. Mr. Brown?
but there was mention before today's meeting about something that Waste Management was gonna save us out of the goodness of their heart. I think it was like $4.13 a ton. Or,
I don't know.
that was stated in a public meeting already before today. So that's why I'm, you know, why does it today need to be done in non-public? Which you've already given me the explanation as to why you think it is, but, I mean, this has already been discussed in a public meeting before.
Okay. All right, so now it's been open to the public again. Yes, Melissa?
Good morning. How was breakfast? Starting off a little
Excellent.
testy this morning. What does your bid policy say regarding whether or not you can just go out to 3 companies or you have to go out to advertise bid? I don't have your bid policy in front of me,
Well, I
but you
don't have it
adopted
right in front of
one.
me either.
Okay.
We need to get 3 bids. I know that.
Okay. I am looking at an order that was issued by Judge Favre yesterday in Carroll County Superior Court. It says that it's for a temporary injunction preventing the county and its commissioners from destroying or disposing documents and other records. Can
I haven't,
you give us any information about that?
I haven't.
Are you aware of that?
Where did you get that from? I guess I haven't seen that.
It's a public court document. It has a docket number. It's a temporary injunction. It says a hearing will be scheduled in 10 days after notice.
You were in that? In that document? Have you got a copy of it?
Who is the judge?
On my computer.
Judge Falver?
Yeah, yes, it says that he ordered it yesterday at Superior Court, a temporary injunction, and that a hearing will be scheduled in 10 days, within 10 days.
I just got this on my desk this morning, so I think it is a little bit strange that you don't have it. You usually have all the papers. Somebody puts it on my desk.
I have that, but Judge Falver's not mentioned in it. This is, I guess this is new.
Well, normally a petitioner, I believe, would file a petition for an injunction with Superior Court, and then the judge rules on the petition, at least on a temporary basis.
Okay,
So it appears that he ruled on it yesterday, so you may not have gotten a copy of it yet, since it was
Okay.
just yesterday. Can you,
so I haven't seen a copy of it.
Can you give us some insight perhaps into what's going on, or what the petitioner is accusing the commissioners of, or?
We didn't get any paperwork yet, so I just got this morning on my desk.
Okay, could
I
I
have to read it?
Could I request a copy of what Commissioner Kenney has then, please?
I guess. Yes, I'll put
I'm-
it on.
If it's
Public.
something that was filed with the court, it's public information anyway, but
Public
I'm asking
information.
for the commissioners to provide a copy to me today.
It's up to copy, she can have as many as she wants.
Okay.
It's so funny.
Excuse me, it's also my understanding that the investigation into the complaints filed against the commissioners by the former jail captain, that investigation has been completed.
How do
Can
you
you,
know that? I
can
don't
you,
even
can you
know
tell
that.
us what the outcome of that is?
We don't know what the outcome is. It hasn't been completed.
Oh. So I've gotten some misinformation that it was finished, or?
Well, where'd you get the information from?
From my information bank. Yeah. That would be source, and I certainly wouldn't
Let
reveal
me say
that.
this, we have not seen a copy or have been informed of the final investigation. Okay? I think I can say that.
The commissioners hired the firm that did the investigation, so have they indicated to you that at least the investigation portion is complete and they haven't finalized their report, or?
We'll be talking with our attorney about it.
Okay,
We haven't seen the final report,
okay,
okay?
thank you.
So my question is, I see on the agenda attorney, I just like to know who is coming and what is the subject?
Liz Bailey is coming.
And why is she coming for, and what is the subject? You know, it costs money every time we have attorneys hearing, so
Yep.
why is she coming?
She's coming to explain the investigation.
So the investigation is done then? She
I
has
haven't
the
seen
public-
it, so I
It
can't say.
depends
Well-
on your definition of done. That through talking to people,
Because-
and Liz Bailey's coming today to explain the results of it, and at that time, it'll be completed.
I know every time there is an investigation, when it is done, and when it is done, Liz Bailey comes here to explain it, so the investigation is done then. And I mean, she
haven't
has
seen
been
it.
put on the agenda, you know that she's coming to explain the investigation, so you
Yeah.
have the knowledge, so you know that it was done. You know why she's coming for it. I should be
That's your
notified.
interpretation, I guess.
No, it is not, it's a fact. I
Okay.
should be notified if we have any attorney coming in and why they are coming.
That's why you got it.
No, but
1 PM, non-public.
but
hearing.
I was notified the subject. I mean, to
Okay.
discuss money.
Any further public input? Seeing none? Yes?
I do have some good news, and I'm not on the agenda as far as our work session, so I did want to share some good news, that the interlocal trust, we had a wellness challenge, a holiday wellness challenge, and the results of it are in, and all of our participants are winners. There was a total of 22 participants signed up for a challenge, representing one from each of the facilities and departments across the complex. 16 of those who signed up completed each week of the challenge and submitted their forms. And on the 7-week period covered by the challenge, Carroll County was the top scoring team for 4 of those weeks, because this was something that was done with the different counties that Interlocal Trust covers. And actually, the overall challenge results, Carroll County was the most successful in averaging their points. So when we look at the things that really affect the county and our health insurance, we have people who are involved in this wellness challenge, and that we were very successful in that. And that is a great positive note for the county. And we will announce later on, once we get to tell the winner and present the winner with it, we will let everybody know who the winner is. But we want it to be a surprise to the winner for our county later on this afternoon. So
Thank you for
it's
mentioning.
very nice news for a change.
Nice.
Okay, let's move on with the agenda. Howie, you're on for 10:15.
Good morning, Commissioner.
morning.
Morning, Becky.
Good morning.
We had a couple of things to update you on. The first is we had one of our air conditioners that services about 6 to 8 rooms was moved by ice. It's a rooftop unit. Now, granted, it's not critical now that we're in the winter, so we have some time to repair it. So we'll be submitting the insurance information for that way. So it doesn't look as though the unit itself is damaged, but the piping to connect it through the roof will need to be repaired.
Howard, since the neighborhoods are replications of each other, can we expect it on 6 others? 7
Good question, and the answer fortunately is no. This is a situation that Bob was monitoring starting last winter, and it's an icing condition that only exists at one end of the building where the wind kind of tunnels through. So while it's not impossible that it couldn't replicate this, Bob's seen no early signs. In fact, he saw some early signs of this last year, but didn't expect the icing. There's no way to anticipate the icing that we had this year. So he feels that it can be relatively easily moved, but the piping will have to be adjusted.
Who feels that way?
Bob Murray.
Okay.
But he was up there last winter, and this in monitoring conditions this winter, but that's the same question that I asked, is this the tip of the iceberg, or is this the whole thing? This would seem to be the whole problem.
We can quote you on that.
You can, well, no, because you're asking exactly the right question, because if we have 6 other problems, we should be addressing them, preemptively. But this seems to be isolated. And the architect coincidentally will be coming in this afternoon, and I'll be talking to him about this. But we're pretty confident.
This is not a flat portion of the roof, right?
In fact, the whole center portion is, we have a lot of mechanical on the upper portions where it's flat.
Yeah.
This is a very unusual icing condition that could cause this whole thing to tip over.
Actually tipped
It
over.
actually tipped over, and which was bizarre. It's a heavy unit. It literally, because it's so heavy, it just sits on skids on the membrane roof.
Yeah.
It's not attached to the roof, and which in this case limits the damage just to the piping.
We've got to have piping or something going into the building.
Yeah, we got refrigerant.
It didn't get damaged?
It did. We had pinched off the refrigerant line and it stretched the electrical line, the supply line. So, but compared to damaging the compressor itself, relatively minor.
And we shut down the refrigeration lines in the fall,
We don't.
so there's no freon escaping?
We don't. Well, it's not so much that we're worried about, it's a closed system, so it shouldn't escape and it shouldn't freeze.
But if it's got a closed system, how it got a hole in it,
Well, if it
it's
had.
not closed anymore.
Well, what we have seen happening, and we talked about it this morning, is whether or not at some point we should shut the system down. There are times temperature spikes, given day. If the temperature spiked all the way to 50 degrees, we'd find that some of our residents would actually be wanting to turn the air conditioning on. We need to look at I think we're gonna have to have closed periods, whether that's from November to March, where we actually close the system down. Because quite frankly, if a room were too hot and it's 50 degrees, that's when it makes sense to open the window, not to turn on the air conditioner. We don't want the air conditioner fighting the heating system. So we will have system. I think we need to look towards closed periods where air conditioning lights should be shut down. We'll shut it down with a breaker, so that the room controls won't control it any longer. The other
Okay,
thing-
so Bob is not getting an estimate as to what it would cost to do that?
He's gonna give an estimate and take pictures today, and we're gonna submit it to insurance, just to protect the
And
county's
Kathy
interest.
Gary's been informed on the insurance?
She will be today. Bob's
Okay.
gonna take the pictures and prepare the accident report. But he's also gonna be going to train the company called Train to get preliminary estimates, so that we have some idea of what the cost is. And we should have plenty of opportunity before actual air conditioning season to be able to repair it. So we're not expecting that it's gonna result in discomfort to any residents at all.
Okay.
The other thing that we're here for, we have the other part of the meeting about contract negotiations later in non-public, but question came up of what we're doing for continuing education and support for staff. And Becky will be able to explain it better, but right now it's presently limited to nurses, and the question came up, of whether or not that's something the commissioners would want us to see us explore, expanding to other positions as well. But I thought maybe it'd be good if Becky would start by explaining to you what we have in place first, to know where we want to go.
Right now, it was brought up that we have an employee who doesn't work in the nursing department, who's going for a degree in the medical field. And did we have scholarships to offer? But the way the scholarship program is written over there is that it's written for LNAs to become LPNs or RNs.
Yep.
That's granted up to $3,600 for a year, tuition reimbursement, with the idea that they have to work 40 hours afterwards for 2 or 3 years to recoup that.
Yeah.
The question came is, should something be done at least nursing home-wide versus county-wide? And the problem, there are a couple issues. One is it's great to do tuition reimbursement, but that's a free loan. It actually says in this agreement that they have to work 40 hours a week for 3 years to repay, either a year and a half to repay the $3,600, or if they take it for 2 years, it's only offered for 2 years, for 3 years to replace it. So not only are we supporting them under a tuition assistance, but then I have to find a position for them. And if I don't have a 48-hour-a-week position, what do you do? That's the one problem. The second issue is if they leave after we've loaned them this money and they don't fulfill that, yes, it says they have to pay back, but then what's the collection mechanism to get that money paid back that we've loaned out to them, or scholarship them with? And then the third thing is it's only for LNAs to become LPNs or RNs, but you have many other people in the facility or even in the county that might be willing to go to school if they had a scholarship that they would be able to get some funds to go to school, i.e., I don't know what they have to do for correction officers, but if you're having a low rep of correction officers, you may have somebody interested, like I know one of our employees just went down to the jail, is going to become a correction officer, that they might need schooling to do that. Right now, the nursing home, to my knowledge, is the only people that have a scholarship agreement. So it hasn't been looked at in a number of years. I think this went back in place, the closest I can see, the latest update was 2006.
My question would be, why would we give somebody a scholarship to get further education and we don't have a position open for that person once they get that?
Well, because people go back to school and they know the scholarship program's available to them. The LNAs know that there's a scholarship program available.
That's true, but that's because there's an opening above them?
Well, it takes 2 years to get your degree, so if you're going back to school now, you may not have you may have the need now, but you won't have it in 2 years. So I think it needs to be re-looked at, number one. Number two, like teachers, they can do a LEAP program in the state of New Hampshire, but they have to guarantee 3 years worth of service. They have to find a position for them. Where people are now tied on positions, again, is it that you guarantee them a position, or you say if you have one available, or it's a minimum payback once they get their degree, that they actually pay back into that fund to keep it rolling.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
This came about because I brought a young lady in that had waited on me on the table and was working in the kitchen, and she's going to get her, I guess it's an associate in orthopedic technology. And this goes back to your question. I don't know that we have a position in orthopedic technology at our nursing home, but we still have an individual, who knows, maybe she'll go on to be a nurse. I firmly believe that if we're going to loan people money for their education, that they owe us back some form of, or some duration of time. But to address your question, in this case, I don't believe it would have made any difference, because the young lady, we don't have any position, never mind having one open. We don't have anything that fits her, what will be her skills.
But there is another option for that, so that if we had somebody who served out their service component, they might get that loan at 0 interest. If somebody chooses to work somewhere else, or through, circumstances change, they might intend to be working for us, but their husband and wife gets transferred to Seattle, they're leaving, at that point, it might be an interest rate charged. So that but it would, in any case, it would help us take care of staff we have. Hold on, it has a retention value for staff whether they work for us later or not, which is important.
I think we're talking about two different things now, and we're talking about giving a scholarship to somebody that we don't have the position for, so why would we give that scholarship? What you're talking about is, should they leave because of their spouse or whatever, and then charge them interest for what they have used.
But the nurse we need today, we don't know that we'll need the nurse, well, that position will be there a year or 2 years from now. So it could very well be, and they could certainly be at the top of the list, but it's not as though we can guarantee a position.
I understand what you said, that it takes 2 years to get a degree to move into a position, and 2 years from now, if there's a turnover and L&As, then that's a problem, but
Well, it's the way it's written up, because basically to apply for the scholarship, you have to be in a program, you have to submit your course load, and it says you have to carry at least 3 courses, which is a hefty load to be working full-time and going to school too anyway. We do accommodate in time, but, so you have to present your course load ahead of requesting the tuition reimbursement, or the tuition assistance. It has to be signed off, you have to maintain a grade of C+ or higher. And it's a 2 years, so I've got someone in programs now, they started, they hadn't worked, and you have to work at the county for a year before you can apply for it. So they have worked for us for a year, so they'll probably be coming in this year, but she still has another 1.5 years. The return on that scholarship is, you will work a minimum of 1.5 years if you only take 3,600, or 3 years if you take the 7,200. For the county, 40 hours a week. That's not, it doesn't even say if there's a position available. It says your requirement for accepting this scholarship is that you will work for the county 40 hours a week for 3 years. So we're sort of in a rock and a hard place. I can't really deny her because, I mean, she meets all the qualifications. She's worked for a year. She's submitting her stuff. She's maintaining her grades. But at the end, the return on that is you'll work for the county. Well, then that puts the county in a bind, because if you have no positions available.
but she could stay, or he could stay at that same position until the position is open.
Well, then we get into Howie's thing. If you've gone through school and gotten your RN, which is quite a considerable amount of different pay than an LNA,
Yeah.
they're not gonna
Yeah,
stay with us.
here.
Gotcha.
But the question comes, in lieu of saying, you know, you will work, or you have a position if there's a position available, what do you do to recoup any of that if their husband, the day after they graduate, with all good intents of working for us, moves to Seattle? That tuition money's gone. There's no recouping, so you're refunding your tuition pool so you can continue offering that. The second thing is could it be something about you're granted this, yes, you have to work for the county, but you pay back a little bit, so you're always replenishing the pool.
What's your recommendation, Howard?
I think opening it up to other positions, so it's not strictly from a LNA to a nurse position, can make sense. But building it in the form of a loan that anticipates the idea that we can't really know the future. But incentivizing somebody who does stay on in service, perhaps by rewarding them with 0 interest, and then having a different interest rate for those who we help by essentially financing it, and charge them a reasonable interest, so that the county is always protected. And it creates, in theory, it creates this pool of funds that could be used for continuing education forever.
Plus, we have to write up a way that if they do leave, how do you recoup your money back? I mean, what is the legal process that the county wants to take to recoup their money back?
Okay, I guess we'll take it under advice and think about it, maybe discuss it some more. You have somebody in line right now that wants to do this?
Well, she came to me last year, but she had not worked there for a year, so she wasn't allowed to request.
Yeah.
This is probably someone who, knock on wood right now, would probably stay, but there's no guarantee on that.
Yeah.
And there's no guarantee that I have a position for them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
would the place to be to start, is ask the delegation what they're willing to budget? If we go through all of this and come up with these programs and they say, no, we're not in support of for higher education for our employees and don't give us the money, you know that education and conferences are when they eyeball it first. Shouldn't we wait until we go to the delegation in a couple of weeks and ask them what their position is? Well, that'll take them another year to figure out.
Yeah, I don't think we need to, but I think it ought to be brought up at the subcommittee of the delegation and see what they thought.
Well, from a functional perspective, this would actually be better as a commissioner's fund than as a Mountain View fund. Because how do we know, it would be a guess in any given year's budget for us to budget. We budget for 2 people at 7,000, 1 person at 3,000. It's not, it might be best for it to be considered a commissioner's fund of a kind of a revolving nature so that it doesn't have to get budgeted every year.
And also, if you go countywide, I mean, no offense, I know Jason needs nurses and stuff every once in a while down at the jail. Well, maybe one of his people down there would decide they want to be a nurse down there and go, you know, and want training. Right now, to the best of our knowledge, the only place that there's any scholarships available are at the home.
Well, the sheriff's department has it.
I was just gonna ask
Oh,
Lynette.
do
The
they?
sheriff's department has it, but they have a limited amount of money, I believe, I'm not sure, but I think it's in the union contract, there's a limited amount of money, and it
At the
only goes
discretion.
out until it runs out for that year, and then,
Is that continuing
Isn't that
ed or a
correct, Lynette?
scholarship to
It's
change
a
to
first come,
the-
first serve, and I think it's the
It's
discretion of the
tuition
sheriff.
reimbursement, and it's tuition reimbursement in there, and it is first come, first serve, and it has to meet some criteria. It's not a scholarship.
Mhm.
No
Right.
other departments have scholarships.
And with the way the county's going, you could see all kinds of things that people may want to go train for, that if the county would support that and get that kind of ability back. I mean, no offense, down the road, you're gonna be looking at different positions as the future keeps going forward. We're getting more electronic, we're getting more paperless, and if someone in-house wants to go receive that training, who already knows your systems and wants to come back and work, but they don't have the funds to do that, you're better off to put that in your own people who already know the systems than to try and go out and hire somebody.
I agree with that, but my problem is that why give somebody a scholarship to go pursue some form of education that's not going to fill a position that we have here on the complex?
That's why a loan instead of a scholarship might
That is nice.
make more sense to protect the county.
But still, why would we give money to somebody to go to be a pediatrician when we don't need one?
Well, I think we would wanna, I think it would wanna be a reasonable thing for us to do. I mean, I think it would have to make sense for Mountain View to invest in a given person. Now, for some people, keeping them during their schooling for 2 years, perhaps like the gal that Commissioner Babson talked to, well, maybe this program would keep her here for 2 years, you know, while she's going to school, which is still a benefit to Mountain View. It won't be a benefit to Mountain View after she gets out, because she'll be in a different field, but it would, I think we would have to make a case that it provides benefit, either present or future, to Mountain View, for it to make sense.
How about if the board would agree that you write something up for us to respond to?
Well, we'll draw up a policy for your review.
when I,
You agree?
when I
You
went
agree?
for Edgecombe Steel, our policy was the corporation had the right to determine whether it was a course that would help me in my employment. And if it were, and I got, I think, a beer better, I had to pay for it up front, but then they reimbursed me. And I think that's the way we ought to go, and then you're away from this hiring
Collecting
someone that
later.
that may not have a job here, or collecting later if they move to San Francisco, or whatever.
And most of the school systems have gone to that too, that you submit your course, although they have to approve the course prior to your submission, which creates a little bit of a problem, because there's such a time frame for
Mhm.
submitting. But they look at the course to see if it has anything pertinent to do with your employment, and if they approve it, then they will reimburse that, but you pay for it up front, and then you get reimbursed on the backside.
Did I understand or read the paper where Granite State College is not going to
Correct.
have for at least a year any teaching on nurses or?
They have suspended their nursing program for 1 year, their RN program, they're revamping it. They are not going to hold their LPN program at all.
But they are continuing with those students that are already enrolled.
I believe they're being shifted to other vocations.
To others? Oh, okay.
And why is that?
Because you
Low
have.
enrollment?
No, you have to submit your program material into the
Yeah,
State Board of Nursing to get approval, and they were only given a conditional approval, so they decided to take a hiatus for a year to get their program up to running where it really needs to be, rather than try and improve on it and keep people coming through, and if they don't meet this Board of Nursing, then they've got to retrain them. But we did hear yesterday as well that they are doing away with their LPN program. Most of the vocads are going to be doing away with their LPN programs.
But they are encouraging people still to participate because there are other coursework that they need as a
Correct.
requirement to go into nursing or whatever.
Basic math skills, English skills, and stuff like that they need as well.
I also understand that the community college in Berlin is not fully subscribed in their nursing program, which is a change. And for a while there was a shortage of open slots for nursing students,
Yeah,
and right now they have.
I think that's,
openings.
is that the same organization?
It's the same
Granite State.
voc-eds, yes, but Conway's voc-ed program, they had to revamp their program to meet state standards for Board of Nursing. Berlin is scaling theirs back because they're not getting the enrollment that they used to.
Oh, okay. This is through high school?
No,
No.
after high school, you graduate high school, it's a
Okay.
two-year program, two-year nursing program. And the other problem is the Board of Nursing and everybody is requiring bachelors, so they've had to revamp so that they are no longer associate degrees, they're actually going into the bachelor degree system.
I just want to say, even if there are no county funds available, those schools or colleges have financial aid and grants available, where you also can apply for.
Write us up a recommendation and we'll take another look at it.
Fair enough.
I think you got a feeling from a couple of us, anyway, from the board, as to maybe the direction.
Well, that's a big help, to be sure that we steer it in the right direction the first time, rather than take a shot in the dark. That's actually all we have, except for the part that comes later. Unless there's questions or...
Are we having a problem filling any nursing positions? Are we full? And we're not hiring any more agency people, or only on occasion when it's an emergency, right?
Yes, I do still have some positions available. We are working with staff that's per diem now to see if they want to absorb some positions that we've been running.
Full-time?
Well, yeah, but we're changing the hours around a little bit, splitting up the full-time into a couple to give us a little bit more coverage. So that's basically what we're doing. But yes, there for a while, we were having problems getting licensed staff applying. The licensed staff has dried up quite a bit everywhere. We're still very good. We haven't used an agency person, and we thought we were gonna use them around Christmas time, and then she quit the agency, so we absorbed those hours amongst ourselves. I don't think we've used one since June.
It's been a long time.
But the other counties are still using 10 to 12 agency people a day to meet the demand.
What hurts us scheduling wise has been the prevalence of Family Medical Leave Act. When you have somebody out for 12 weeks who you're obligated to take back in, it doesn't create a position that you can advertise and fill, because you do need to bring the person back in. And we've had, we've had more than our share, and that complicates matters.
Are we using per diems more than what we are allowed to use during the week?
We're looking
Are they
at,
required,
we're looking
can't
at
go over a
that.
certain number of hours?
Well, we're looking at that and working on that. When I first came here, there was such a category called premium per diems, which basically gave a per diem 32 hours a week
32 hours.
to meet their contract, which is not allowable. With the Obamacare Act and stuff, we're now looking at that to see how we can knock our per diem usage down and get more permanent staff in. Over the holidays and stuff, we have other extenuating circumstances, and right now, that's being absorbed. Whether that continues, I don't know, but we're looking at scheduling and seeing how we can do that, because our per diems do put in a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Between personal days and sick days and FMLA leave and, you know, death days and stuff, you end up using 3 or 4 per diems a day.
So a per diem is required to work one weekend a month?
I still have some people that have been in the system for quite some time, they're per diem premiums. I think I'm down to 11 or 12 right now.
Now, how do you do that if you have a full complementary of people on a weekend? There's no room for a per diem to work.
Oh, there's always room for a per diem to work because you have call-outs, you have FMLA. I mean, the FMLAs alone, the medical leaves alone.
Yeah.
If somebody's out 12 weeks, that's 6 weekends at least that you don't have coverage. And then you have sick call-outs on top of it, so.
And we could tell them not to come in, but relieve them of their obligation. So we wouldn't have to overstaff in order to accommodate that.
Right, we can
But
call
that's,
out.
but that's that would be a wonderful theoretical problem to have. That's, in practice, it's just as Becky says, we need them, especially on weekends.
And no offense, I have a wonderful staff who have, yes, we're paying overtime or incentive, but compared to an agency,
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks of the year are nightmares, and they've absorbed we absorb a lot of time amongst ourselves for those 2 weeks so that we don't bring in agencies.
Per diems get a little more money, but they're on call and they don't get any other benefits, correct?
I'd just like to congratulate you two and maybe former your predecessors, because it wasn't but 4 or 5 years ago that we were spending $760,000 a year on
Agency
temporary help.
people. Yeah.
And now I think the budget this year is for $203,000, and I personally think you've done a remarkable job.
Well, you have a
It's
remarkable.
never gonna be zero, we realize that, as long as the laws are what they are.
You have a remarkable staff, because I've been very lucky if I ask, there are very few days. But again, we all pitch in. I mean, I grab shifts too, if we really have to. I will come in and do a shift, rather than trying to get an agency. The other thing is there's not a lot of agency up here. So we would be paying extreme premium price to get them up here, because they're not, at that point, they're not an agency. We really have to try and get a traveler in, someone who they will house up here to do that. Wolfboro Bay, not too long ago, had 3 travelers in the area.
Really?
And now we're getting compliments again. That's why we're working with our per diem staff, saying, you know, if per diem hours dry up, it might be nice to take a part-time position. So that's how we're working with our staff
We
now.
do have a strategy. You know,
Are
a
we
strategy.
rewarding employees for taking double shifts or coming in,
If,
not only overtime, but overtime plus is still cheaper than,
if we can't get someone to sign up for a shift, we work very diligently, far out, we're a month ahead, and a lot of times people will pick it up just for overtime. But say this weekend, I get told today, we're still down 3 people, I can't get anybody to work, we will offer an incentive, which is an increase, it's $5, which is nothing.
an hour or a day.
An hour, which is nothing compared to an
Compared what you
agency
pay
earning
an
$75 a day,
Right.
$75 an hour. So, yes, my staff does do
Good.
that, and we don't do
Good.
it all the time. It's only when we're really desperate and we've tried for 3 or 4 weeks to get the positions filled and we can't, then we'll offer incentive.
Good for you, thank you.
We actually have kind of a 3-year plan that we just finished the first year of. The first was to minimize or eliminate agency use. And I think, I have to check my numbers, but I don't think we had 20 shifts of agency in all of 2013,
Really?
which is a remarkable shift.
Yeah.
The next year, now we've started more aggressively looking at what we can do to take per diems and create regularly scheduled shifts. And then the third tier is what we can do to minimize and reduce scheduled overtime. So that, this, you know, my goal is you have a pie of compensation, and you're either spending in an agency overtime or premium pay. It'd be better to create a scenario where our regularly scheduled people could get more money. Cost the county the same, but it'd be better quality, better planning all around, so that if we can, instead of having a few people doing doing well, be able to put that money back into something that would allow regularly scheduled staff to benefit by that. That's ultimately a better way.
Now, I can't believe it doesn't help us that when these temps come in, there must be some, as good as they are, there must be some on-the-job training that first day or second day.
Well, we bring them in for an orientation, you have to. That
Oh,
is
you
not
do?
something
Okay.
you can bring. By state, they have to be oriented to your fire systems and everything, and it's just
Oh.
easier to bring them in to orient them to the procedures than to bring somebody in cold. That's what the difference is with an agency. All our per diems go through orientation, just like our regular staff, and we make sure they're very comfortable in all our equipment.
Well, no,
and
I was
stuff.
thinking of the agency people, they get
Oh.
here, you've gotta show them where everything is
Yeah.
and what to do, and if you're paying them $75 an hour, you're really paying them
Well,
more because
sometimes
you
the
get
staff
less
have
work
to
out.
have to show me how.
Well, see, the regular staff resent the agency people because they're doing half as much and getting paid twice as much.
Yeah.
Because they don't know where anything is, I mean, necessarily.
Yeah.
Some can be very excellent, but some are there in a pinch, and it's not desirable from a quality.
Plus, the other thing
financial-
is that the residents don't know these people coming in,
Correct.
where they're used to having somebody here.
But I will say, the staff we have is exceptional. I mean, even this year, I think I've pulled a total of maybe 10 shifts myself, which is down from the previous year, because they just jump in and they work, and they can't be thanked enough, because without a staff like that, you would have a lot of agencies in here compared to what the other counties are going through right now. But we want to make sure that we don't burn that, because after a while, people get tired of picking up extra shifts.
Yeah,
They need their batteries recharged, so.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we got 4 items here on the
Thank you.
work
Stay
session.
back here.
Why don't we take the last one first, regarding the slanted desk and registry?
I did have a couple of
You
other
want to
things.
speak to that, or you want to?
It's just, I did talk to another surveyor that came in this week, and he said he didn't feel he was used to anybody because everybody's working on computers now, generates, prints out a copy, they're not standing, doing their drafting and so forth. So he didn't feel there would be a use, I'm just, that was just one surveyor. And of all the surveyors, I would have been surprised that he wasn't using more computer stuff, so, I kind of took that respectfully.
Who made those? Did
The
the
Votech Center made
Kingswood?
Yeah, and I've gotta say, it's gotta be years ago.
Yeah,
And they're solid. If you've
Yeah,
seen them,
yeah.
you know they're solid.
yeah.
I feel bad it doesn't have another use unless somebody can use them for storage, but they're very heavy units to move, so.
Any of those in the public that would like to take a look at them, in the registry of deeds, they're big tables, they're on a slant, they got a
And it's a
formica
slight
top to
slant,
them.
it's not so that it's not an average, it's
No,
just a slight, just to
Central,
keep
yeah,
things from.
yeah. And there's 12 of them there that you want to get rid
There's
of.
definitely 11,
you're gonna keep the others.
12, that's all. No, the others have got books in them, so
Yeah.
they were designed differently.
Yeah. So,
I'm not so sure that's not something you might be able to advertise on your website, I'm not sure.
we could have it, it should be good. And
You know,
have it
take a
on-
picture, put them on, say that we have this many units, the wood itself is gonna be worth something.
Yeah.
Not being in the construction business, I don't know what they're worth, to be honest with
I don't know, but I would
you. They're good solid
suggest to the group that's
pieces.
here, take a look at those tables and see if you can come up with a use for them. I think temporarily we'll have the farm crew supervise some inmates, and we'll yank them out of there and put them in the old nursing home for the time being, but we ought to find a home for them. I mean, they're pretty decent tables.
Oh, and they're in good shape.
Yeah, they're good shape.
And they've got Formica all over.
Build your house on the side of a hill, the table will be top, will be flat.
Yes, sir.
Any local schools might be interested in it?
Well,
That's what we thought.
we talked about that this morning, yeah.
We're gonna have the girls downstairs, or the assistant, email the principals of the different high
You know,
schools.
I'd rather do a rough sketch of it so we could describe the dimensions of it.
Yeah, we want to take a picture of it too.
Oh, I know, but I mean,
Take a picture
I
of
do
one.
have the dimensions and,
The old days, you would've used them for drafting, but who drafts anymore?
Yeah,
well, they're doing it all on computers.
yeah. Okay, we
That
did look
was-
at them.
Okay. Just
You got
while I'm
anything
here-
else?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're going to have to amend my budget for the 97 account, which is the surcharge account, because we did not get both the votes from the delegation and you to purchase it back. in
You got the
October.
vote from the delegation, but you didn't get it from the
Exactly.
commissioners. And they said it's depending on the vote from the commissioners.
So now I've gone back to the same three companies. I had the three prices before, and some went up and some went down, but the one I was going to get is still the lowest price. I have, if you want copies of these, I can tell you, but it is now, it went up $74.12. It's still the lowest of the three. So I need to put that back into my budget. So what I did was, I just, when I do my budget, I give you a roundup, because I can't change your physical numbers that come out of the business office. There's 3 copies. So all it's going to do is change number 6 on my, I'm adding in a 6
Now,
on
this
my new
is
equipment.
money that does not come out of the taxpayers,
Does not
right?
come out of taxpayer. But it is still regulated by statute,
Yeah.
which requires
Yeah.
the approval of both the commissioners and the delegation. I just want to make sure we do it in order, and I wanted it to come before you before I had my subcommittee meeting on Friday.
On Friday, yeah. Is this, are we talking about number 5?
No, you've got 2 sheets. You've got my old sheet. The
Yes, I
second
do,
sheet
but
is my
which
new.
number are we talking about?
Well, you don't have a 6 on the front sheet. You need to go to the front page.
Oh, okay.
See, I wrote old and new up in the corner. That was what it looked like when I gave it to you in October, and this is what it's gonna look like now.
So it's $2,581 is what you're looking for approval for that cabinet?
You can look at my people's again. I don't think I brought up mine with a 6. I left mine downstairs and gave them all to you. That would be the figure.
That's a
Figure
figure,
here is 2581.
2581, yeah.
I actually have copies of these.
What was it before?
It was, 25, I think it was 2507. Here's one with the old price and the new price on it. I actually have one of those for each of you, so. The old, the number 1 is the new price, but it's still the cheaper of the 3.
Okay. Commissioner Babson, you looked into this. You provided other,
Oh, I got as far as looking around, I didn't frankly finish the project.
okay. So
But we can rectify that
What-
now just by putting this back in.
what would you suggest we do with that then? What you did was you looked at other
I was looking for
sales
the distributor, not for
of
the
the distributors, right?
And I didn't meet with any luck or any success. So I guess we go with the cheapest price.
So we go with the 2581.42?
So it was before
2507,
2507,
that's cool.
and now that we had to wait, it's 2581,
It
correct?
went up $74
Okay.
and cents.
Well, so we didn't buy it back then, but I make a motion that we purchase the, what do we call it? Plan filing cabinet
File
by
cabinet.
Safeco for $22,581.42, and that it comes out of
The equipment surcharge.
the equipment
That's
surcharge
that's
fund, which does not affect the
41297.
taxpayers.
That's correct.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Do I hear any further discussion? If not, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, then it's unanimous.
So I can take it to the subcommittee. I don't think we need an official vote from the delegation, because if they approve my budget, they will have approved the purchase, so I didn't see any sense in going back and, but I will at least put this before my subcommittee and get a recommendation from them whether it has to be a separate vote, or anytime they approve the 97 budget, it's considered a vote on the budget.
Can you carry over any money in that account?
I have it, I have. You have to. And you never draw it down to zero.
I got you, but I mean,
We take in
the
money.
delegation approved it subject to the commissioners. Now you just got the commissioners' vote, so you
No,
should be able to.
It has to go back. I'm getting the opinion from the subcommittee whether it needs to go back as a separate vote, or when they approve the budget and this amount is in it, it's considered the same.
Okay, okay,
Do you follow me?
all right,
Okay.
very good,
Very good, thank you.
thank you. We got anything on the personnel policy?
No, that's
No
a
update.
work in progress.
Okay. And energy audit, did we contact EEI, was it?
Yeah,
And they were gonna wait until
Lisa.
after the holidays to do it?
yeah, I sent the section of the minutes that you had approved to move forward, and they will be back in touch with us, letting us know how they will move forward, so they have been notified.
Okay. And I have a copy on my desk downstairs of the energy audit that was done back 2 or 3 years ago, where we changed over all our lights in administration building. So they might
want to see.
want to look at that, because they did look at the other buildings, and it wasn't economically feasible to do the jail. It was not going to pay for itself.
Right.
So instead of doing that over again, they may be, and they got some other ideas, some other ways of looking at saving energy, so I'll give that to you. Mission statement. You got anything on the mission statement?
Well, no, we
No.
need to plan the meeting to start working on the mission statement
Okay.
as well as the goals, and getting some input from the
I
facility.
did some work, I gotta admit, I did some, and I said it last week, and I can't find it. I did some work on a mission statement, it was too long, it was 7 or 8 bullet points, but I'll continue to look. I don't know if I can redraft that or not, but we need to come up with a mission statement, so that's something that we can work on for next week, maybe?
Well, and that's something that I think that the board would agree that that needs to be a collaborative effort from you, as well as your constituents and some of the employees having some input as to what the mission statement is, or will be, as well as the board needs to sit together and work on some of the goals for the upcoming year, as well as some future goals. So I think we could do a work
Okay.
session
Yeah.
on that.
Okay. All right, I would suggest the members of the board then write up what you think a mission statement should be, and we will work on it for next week. I've also asked each of the board members to write up an annual report, and that we can look at and see what one of us may have forgotten that the other one put in, and we can work on that to get that done by the end of the month.
Yeah, because
Has to
Cheryl
go into our
needs-
annual report
Yeah.
that is published and goes out to all of the, I believe, libraries, and I know it goes to all the selectmen offices.
Mhm.
You got anything else to add to the work session?
Yes.
You have. Okay.
Last week, Commissioner Kenney stated she thought that we paid our electric bill once a quarter. I got a printout for you, as I stated last week. Can I finish, please? As I stated last week, I thought we paid every month, and we do in that record.
So this is every month?
Yes, we do pay every month.
If it is an electric bill and PSNH only deliver, what they deliver, and the electric bill is to them, we should be paid once a month.
The other thing is unsigned checks again. Last week, Commissioner Kenney, you signed the checks, but you didn't sign one for the travel for Michelle Hamilton. That's a delegation, situation, you know, we've asked that you make a note on them, that if you're not gonna sign them, which you did.
I did.
Yes, I know,
Okay.
and you said, I don't agree. I'm not the smartest knife in the drawer, but I can figure out that you probably didn't agree by not signing it. The question is, why didn't you agree? Because now somebody has to look, did you find that it was incorrect mileage? Did you find it had been charged double? Whatever it was, so, but I don't agree doesn't help us when the second person has to sign them, so. I guess my question is, why wouldn't you want to sign her mileage?
You know what, I think just coming to do the minutes for the delegation for 1.5 hours, putting in mileage, almost $50 for only the mileage. No, I think it is too high, you know, it is too much. I
But
mean,
that's
Are
what,
we
Then I would call,
Are we
I
paying
would,
also the per
Okay.
diem people coming to the work? Why are we going to pay the employees now coming to work and paying their mileage? We don't pay all the other per diem people who's working maybe once a week or twice a week. I think it is too high.
okay, I think this was up to the delegation,
I think you
the
should
the
call.
chairman.
I don't have to agree with the delegation.
No, but we
I
are the
don't.
ones that sign the checks, and the delegation approves of the money. In that particular case, unless there's some discrepancy that they're overcharging, we should be signing that check.
There was some discrepancy, what I brought up, that we had another minute taker, and she was charging, and she was living a couple miles from here, and she put in like $15 every time. Nobody did anything about it. And I don't know if the mileage is correct. I mean, I didn't see where the person is coming from and how many mileage, so maybe I have to look into that. I don't know.
Then
If
we
there's
ought to then
discrepancy.
request the number of miles that they travel, including in their bill or their invoice, and then whatever they decided to pay for the service, so they get mileage and service. Go ahead.
The former minute taker that Commissioner Kenney claims nobody did anything about, you reported it. I went home, I Googled it, I looked up her address, Googled it, it came out to something like 0.2 of a mile off from where she said she was living. I came back here and reported it to this board, and there was nothing wrong with the amount of mileage she was putting in, so we should forget that.
No, it
If you want to
was.
talk about mileage,
I look it up, and I think it was like $4. It was $4 and not 14. Just, I looked it
Okay.
up. So we shouldn't forget about it, it is wrong.
she was living up in West Ossipee, she wasn't living, you said, next door here, she wasn't living
Well,
here.
she put her address in on the form.
All right, that's past, that happened.
It is not
What we're
passed.
talking
I mean,
about
if
is
we started to
present.
take taxpayers' money, you know, and it is not passed, no, it is wrong, it's not right. The address is right on her form, that is what she put in, and if you see it, she lives not too far, a couple miles, it can never be $14.
Okay, regarding the present situation,
So in the past, they can,
Well, no,
everyone
don't talk
can
about the
steal
past,
and do
talk about the
everything, all the
present.
leak, and that's all fine because it's in the past. Now, tomorrow, a week after, I mean, next week, if nothing's been done this week and things happen, we're gonna say, oh, it's in the past, it was last week, so now we're going to do nothing anymore.
the question came up as to why you didn't sign it, and it's,
And I answer it.
if there's a discrepancy in it, that they're charging too much for the miles, that's one thing. But if the mileage is accurate, and then their fee is accurate, then it's an obligation of a commissioner to sign that, because it was approved by the delegation, okay?
Well, if you two agree with it, then you two need to sign it. If I don't agree with something, I don't sign it, it's not my obligation.
Just tell us what you don't agree.
I think to just come in here and almost pay $50 taxpayers' money, I think it's outrageous. I think it's way too high.
But that's, you know, we don't have any say in that particular area,
Well,
because...
but I don't agree.
Okay, then, okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I just don't believe what I heard the commissioner say. She says, if you don't agree with it, just don't, then you two sign it. She wouldn't
Because
sign,
you two agree with it.
Wait a minute.
she would not sign the HR person's mileage to the conference, but she went to the same one and collected the same mileage, and lo and behold, guess who signed her gas mileage? So So I wouldn't talk about us, Commissioner.
Okay, next subject. You got anything else to add to the work session?
That is what it put for me, and
Anything else to add to the work session?
yes, I just want to say, you said I didn't want to sign it. I didn't go there for 2 days in a hotel, and I didn't go in Manchester for a hotel. And I mean, if you're here on probation, you submitted almost an $800 bill for certain months. I think it is way too high.
Okay,
I think the
So-
point is,
Included
Mr.
cell
Chairman, that it's a conflict of interest when you sign your own mileage sheets.
I
Commissioner.
Okay, no, let him
asked
finish, let him
for it,
finish.
and you know,
please,
I
please,
asked for
please,
it.
let him finish. Go
No,
ahead.
because what he's telling, he is just bullying around now, because I brought this issue up numerous times. I said, listen, my mileage check, nobody signs it, and every time you give it to me, and I was down and I asked Commissioner Sorensen, I said, listen, what do I need to do? Over and over, they put it on my desk, and he said, well, if one commissioner or the commission sign it, it's fine. Every time I get on my desk an envelope where it is empty, there is no signature on, and he said, well, one commissioner to sign it. I brought this issue up over and over again.
Well,
And what
I know what
conflict
you're
is there?
talking about.
And Commissioner Babson, you are signing every time mileage for your girlfriend. What about that?
What does my girlfriend have to do with anything about
Oh,
mileage?
you don't take it as a conflict?
Go away.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
No, he wants
Move
to
on.
bring stuff up, but his own stuff
Howie?
he's not bringing up.
You're on for the trash collection?
We're ready.
You're in?
We're ready. Bob's here.
Come on up.
I think your real decision is whether you will carry it as a public session or a non-public session.
Well, we opened it up
We
to
opened it up.
public, so it's public.
One thing as a prelude to that I want to put before you, and it's not to disagree or agree with how you interpret it, but there's a real question, well, in fact, it seems clear in my mind, as you look at the bottom of RSA 28.8, that the purchase of equipment and materials does come under that $5,000 cap. But this is services. So I think there's, whether or not it's a best practice that the board wants to use, but I don't think you're required to. So what you choose to do is different than what you have to do. In the case with services, this would apply equally to hospital services, physician services, different things that you receive, certainly things that you buy outright, materials, as the RSA says, equipment or materials has to be. Services, the reading of this would suggest that it's at your discretion.
Well, Howie, you and I and Bob met with Waste, and I have no problem going out for bid, except this is extenuating circumstances. We've been to the two people that are capable of bidding this job and doing the job, and they have, I believe, did you include the email back from
Both of them.
both of them saying they weren't interested?
They're highlighted.
Which leaves us hanging out there, and now that Mr. Brown is insisting that we do this in public, we're letting Waste Management know that they can do just about anything they want with the prices. And all we were trying to do, this wasn't corruption, as I suspect we were gonna be accused of. We were just trying to protect the taxpayers' dollars. Now it's out in the open, and if
If we don't take action on
we
it
don't take it, we
today.
go out to bid, and
Go out to
we're gonna
bid.
end up coming up the other way.
Well, in business, there are two ways to get the best price: bid or negotiate. In this particular situation with Waste Management, there's an absence of other qualified and interested bidders, and what we're talking about in negotiations is a negotiated price that is less than what we're actually paying.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about acquiescing to somebody who's putting extra charges onto us, but, through Bob, Bob and Commissioner Babson's negotiations, it's coming out with something that's extremely favorable. So that even if it were subject to that bidding part, it would be reasonable to bring to the commissioners for a unanimous vote to determine that it'd be in the best interest of the county to go with a negotiated settlement rather than a bid. You'd only go to bid if you think you could get something less than what you could negotiate in this situation. And it is highly unusual. It was already a good and fair contract. It's all the more so that they're willing to extend it at a more than $100 less per month than they were previous.
It's very unusual that you see prices of contracts go down, and we were able to negotiate this contract down. It was saving $150 a month. And the service is virtually unchanged.
Mr. Brown, how do you feel about it? Now that you know the circumstances or the issues that we were talking about, how do you feel about it?
Well, that would drive a question, looking at the temporary injunction, does this trash contract have anything to do with destroying?
No, don't go there, no.
Well, it's in the temporary injunction.
This trash contract is?
No,
I'm asking him.
go ahead.
The plaintiff has filed a request for temporary injunction preventing the county and its commissioners from destroying, disposing documents and other records of the county. Does this trash contract have anything to do with such?
Records or
Not
documents?
unless we've written any documents on used diapers.
Okay, because this is, I'm reading from the temporary injunction that a judge has ordered.
Yeah. Now, this is trash, this is
This is our waste.
what we're doing now, waste. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did hear myself that the commissioners were looking into a trash contract to dispose of county records.
Kind of interesting, that was done in non-public session. How did you hear about it?
I hear about it.
About what?
The same way the judge has heard about it.
And I wonder how he heard about it, because there was only 3 of us here, 4 of us.
So you're stating that this contract has nothing to do with disposing of county records?
That's correct.
That's right.
This is a continuation of the existing contract for essentially the household wasted material and recyclables that come primarily from Mountain View.
So back to my question, Mr. Brown, how do you feel about it?
How do I feel about what, Commissioner?
You were questioning why.
No,
we should
hey,
put it out for bid.
No, I'm all for saving money, but it's just the way things are done in county. This isn't something new. You know, it just,
Are you sitting here, Mr. Brown, and saying that what we were going to do was corrupt or illegal?
No, I'm not saying that. No, I never said that.
The county, and you wouldn't believe us.
therein lies, when you, Commissioner Babson, when you have a chairman of the Board of Commissioners who will blatantly lie about an email, what else won't the chairman lie about in a $28.3 million county budget?
I don't know, you tell
I
us.
mean, this is not something new. This has been going on for years, and it's still continuing.
I'd like to know what I lied about, but that's a separate subject. We'll come up with that later.
Okay.
But let's stay with the issue here.
Yes.
How do you feel about this?
I just have a comment.
You want to make a comment?
Yes, so no company wants to do that? Is that what you're telling, from all the companies that's out there?
Earlier in 2013, we solicited 3 companies to give us a proposal.
You solicited, so this was never been out to bid, how regularly everything goes out to bid in the
Yes, it
paper?
was.
But he said he solicited 2 other companies, he said.
How many companies are in the area?
No, was this ever put out to bid?
If you want to say go through the advertising process,
It
no.
was
No, so-
originally, but not for what we're talking about today.
So
Yeah.
it was, no, he said it was never out to bid.
Okay.
He said.
Well,
he
this is
solicited
never
2
ever-
Like
companies.
Commissioner Babson said, originally, we did put it out to bid.
Okay, originally, what,
18 months,
where?
about a year and a half ago.
When we first moved in.
It's on the,
But
it's
he
on the
said-
contract, Commissioner.
What
It's on
Marty
this
just
15.
said, he solicited 2 other companies, so. Okay, so, no, I find it a little bit strange that we cannot find any company to do that. And like you said, this is the only one. I find it a little bit weird, really.
Do you have any
From all the
suggestions?
companies that are out there,
Who are they?
I don't know, there must be a few companies out there. that do this
We
job.
brought the two biggest in, the two that are capable. Have you been over to the nursing home and looked at the situation, Commissioner? Do you know that there's a huge welded walkway there that was supplied by the current vendor, that they have compactor and machine over there?
That is in
that
the
they have-
back there?
Yes, and that's why I asked you to please be
sorry.
prepared when this discussion came up, because if we're gonna try to save some money here, every month we don't do it, it's gonna cost us more. There are two big vendors in the area besides waste, and that's North Conway Incinerator and Casella, and they both, and you got the emails here, they both say they don't wanna bid on it. What do we do?
There are some companies that can handle smaller dumps with just one or two dumpsters, but with the compactor and the recyclables that we have, there are very few people that are willing, as it is, I think, Waste Management takes, the hauling, it's a hauling expense in distances they have to go. I think they go into Rochester.
They go to Rochester for the trash.
And further for the recyclables.
And the single stream, they treat in Rochester, and then they deliver to other places.
All right, let me read this email. It's sent to Bob, and it says, "Hope you had a nice week with your girl. Bad news is due to equipment needed at nursing home site and lack of the accounts for our rear loader trucks, we would not be able to service your location. Commissioner Babson stopped at our office Friday, and I told him he was disappointed, but I explained we would have to charge more than our other vendors." That was from Gollin.
That's from Mrs. Gowan.
And the other one is from Casella. Bob, hope all is well. Thanks for meeting with me a while back. Unfortunately, this time I am not able to provide you with a quote for an 8-yard Vertipack compactor. As discussed, we are not servicing that area with front-loaded containers at this time. However, I did want to provide you with something, so I have attached a proposal for you to review. Let me know if you have any questions.
If the two other largest hauling trash haulers can't replicate what we have, certainly none of the smaller ones can.
And this quote from Casella was $25,680, and I believe the quote from Waste Management was $20,100, correct?
I don't recall the total.
They're in there. Front page is Waste Management's proposed price, and Commissioner Sorensen found Casella's price. You know, we can get other companies to service us, but they cannot replicate what we have. And anything that we do will be at a higher cost. Simple as that.
Commissioner Kenney, since you tend to disagree, I want to put it out to bid. What are your thoughts?
I just like to put it up, I just like to put it out to bid, yes.
You want to put it out for bid?
Yeah, and if there is no one, and this is the only company, and then this company will bid on it.
But they could come back with a higher price.
They could do anything they want,
They're smart, they will.
No.
especially after viewing this hearing.
Well, I'm a firm believer of putting it out for bid. But I think you've done your best to get the three largest companies to put a bid in, and we got two bids out of the three. One was 5,000 more than the other.
Plus, we have to either purchase the fabricated metal that's out there, or have them make it for us, which isn't included in that bid.
Correct.
And it's somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 for the metal, as we were told by Waste. We wanted to buy it.
Commissioner Kenney, again, you still want to go out for bid?
Yeah.
You want to pay the difference if they come in higher?
I'm just following the law. It needs to go out to bid, that is what it said, and we put it out to bid.
The law also says that if you have the unanimous decision of the board, that you don't have to go out for bid, so there's two.
I just
We
fear
could
that
listen.
I just fear that this is a missed opportunity to save the county the most money possible. If we don't jump on this opportunity, it may slip away.
Do I hear a motion?
I just want to say something. I find it so obvious that the chairman said, I am going to pay the difference. He never asked Commissioner Babson when the register of deeds came in, and he waited because he was going to look around. He never probably get back to her, and she came back and she said, we have to pay now $74 more. He never asked Commissioner Babson. Now I follow the law, put it out to bid. Oh, are you going to pay the difference? It's so obvious what you are doing.
This will be more than $74.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. It's not unanimous.
No need for a motion.
No need for a motion. We'll have to put it out for bid and we'll suffer the consequences. And it won't land on my shoulders. I would support it
I
the
would
way it
do.
is. It's questioned by Commissioner Kenney, we put it out for bid and hopefully it'll come back at the same price.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should make a motion just for the record. I'll make a motion that we extend the contract to Waste Management as they have described it in our meeting last week, which will be going back to 2011 pricing. You second it, you and I will vote for it, you'll vote against it, and we'll have to go out for bid, but at least there's a record.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I'll second it. Any further discussion? I think we've had enough, probably. It has to be unanimous, so all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, nay.
Opposed?
Okay. Then we'll go out for bid. Thank you for your work.
Bob.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Your minutes, we haven't done.
Okay, yep. You have minutes for last week?
January. Is it January 8th? That is what I have.
Isn't that on the second page, page 2 of 8? Wouldn't that be Horace? Superintendent Johnson said he would like to attend that meeting.
It's
and
Rob
include the
Horace that I,
Yeah, I couldn't remember his last name.
Horace.
H-O-R-A-C-E.
Horace.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do with them, I just have them. Did you sneak them from me?
Yeah,
You did, no,
You
no.
want me to make a copy?
that's all right.
No, I've looked at mine, Dave, that was just the, I didn't have any changes, except I had one. I think on the back page it was. These are excellent minutes. Oh, I just think on page 6, the second full paragraph. Commissioner questioned who I was representing, whether I was representing my precinct and where I live. or whether I was representing the county, and I said I was representing both.
Okay, which page again?
Page 6 of 8, this paragraph right here. You asked the question who he was representing, and he said he was representing both.
I don't know if that was his answer, though. I don't think that he said anything.
I said I was representing both.
Yeah.
You said that? I didn't hear
Okay,
that.
do you have any corrections to add to it?
No, I just read the minutes. I just got it on my desk.
No, they were sent to us by the
Yeah,
computer
but
3 days ago.
I know, but I didn't get it. That was what I
Yes, you did, you
said.
got all your other email.
Probably it's sent, but I don't know, I didn't get it. I
Okay,
didn't-
so it was representing his district or the county?
We said.
Precinct for the,
Precinct.
precinct for the county.
And put in Horace there and then
Yes, I got
Page
it.
2.
I got that.
both places.
And it was Commissioner Kenney who asked the question?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Do I hear any further corrections? I hear a motion.
Well, I don't see anything, at least.
Do I hear a motion to accept the January 8th minutes?
Yeah, motion to accept the minutes as corrected, January 8, 2014.
Okay, do I hear a second? Second? All those in support of the motion say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
So unanimous?
can I have them back?
Yes, sir.
We have 20 minutes to.
Regarding the minutes, after all of the work that we did last year on the minutes, that's all the public minutes, all the non-public minutes, and all the non-public minutes that were approved to be released are in the hands of the clerk. She has copies of them, they're in her safe. Any questions come up about those minutes, all those that were available to us, she now has. So we are up to date, is that correct, Recording Secretary?
You have everything you ever had, yes, and the
Yeah.
current minutes are up to date, yes.
Yeah. Did we have a non-public last week?
Yes,
So we got to do those.
yes.
Okay,
There were actually 2 non-publics last week,
that's right.
but I didn't do the second one, I think Commissioner Babson. But we need to add his addendum, because he left the meeting.
Yep,
So
he
he needs
did.
to give me the end of the public meeting to add to mine.
Mhm.
Actually, these minutes are the ones that have the, that need the addendum.
You had last week's, right?
These are the ones that need the
Must be
addendum.
downstairs in my closet.
So,
Okay. Do I have your minutes from last week?
I switched over to this year's book, so it's probably downstairs, and I used the white one last week, so it's probably down there. That's what I had.
Okay, well, we go into non-public, then we will approve the first session of the non-public that was held last week.
yes.
And at the end of that meeting, I did say that both those were sealed.
Okay. Yeah, we should probably close this loop, actually, if we can, because I think as corrected will include the amendment that he's gonna add to it, so the minutes probably shouldn't have been voted yet. I don't know how you wanna deal with that, but, I need to add his.
I see, yeah,
his
well, we'll
in-
vote on what he is going to submit as an
Okay, and then
amendment.
I'll just fold them in, okay, yeah, that works.
Okay. Anything else? All right, can we handle that, the approval of the non-public last week at 1 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay.
Why don't we handle that?
We have to go into non-public
Next
to
week,
handle it.
but there is now, we did a auto contract in public. It says only attorney, and she doesn't have to be here taking minutes when the attorney is here. It's the
That's
board-
correct.
It's the board and the attorney, so maybe we should handle it next week. Because then she doesn't
She's
have
going
to
to be
wait
here,
now
is she
all the
not?
time. She doesn't have to wait all the time, she can start to leave. There's only the minutes from, because we caught up, like, a couple weeks ago, we did
Yes,
a
it's just the
lot.
one. It's
So
just the
this is
one,
only
they're very
from-
short.
This is only from last week.
And it's
okay?
mostly minutes. It's mostly approvals of other minutes.
Could we see
Wanna-
those,
wanna see
and
them?
if there are no corrections, we can't talk about them in public, but if there are no corrections, we can vote on
You can
them.
probably vote them, yeah.
Don't you have public input, or is it done?
Not yet. I see no corrections.
I don't either.
Is that all we talk about? I thought we talked about more things. There's nothing,
It was a long discussion. I compressed it pretty tightly.
well,
You have any corrections?
well, this piece here, what she submitted, not, but I thought it was much longer, more questions and stuff, but oh well.
Do you have any further correction?
No, not on this here, no.
Do I hear a motion to accept the non-public session of January 8th?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Now, is it in your section of the minutes where we seal them?
Well, the announcement that you sealed them would be in his
Is
section.
in his section, okay. That's different, well, okay. We can do
So
that.
you can put it in a motion that you approve the minutes of January, the non-public minutes of January
I think we still need the vote for these.
Yeah.
8, 2014.
All right, do we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Kenney?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
So
Then,
I think all I need
motion passes.
is, you'll have to pass the addendum from Commissioner Babson, then I can take it with me and finish the minutes.
Yeah. Okay, anything else we brought up this morning? We will recess after public input till 1 o'clock. But is there anything else that we brought up?
Reports.
You got reports? Guys?
I met with, on Monday, I met with Jason and Jason to go over their budget. Jason, one, will be unable to attend the jail subcommittee, and he wanted to make sure that Jason, too, had felt comfortable, so we went over the budget to some length, and they've done a good job on their budget, down quite a bit. The other thing is, yesterday I testified before the Legislative Elective Law Committee on a bill that I had Tom Bucco put in for me, which I don't expect will be well received by lots of people, but the idea is that we would be elected as commissioners. We each have to come from a district, but only the people in that district could vote for their candidate. There would be no at-large candidate. And they're gonna take it under consideration.
Anything further?
Huh?
Anything further?
Well, the other thing I did at the end of the bill the bill stated that, and then I asked the chairman if he would consider a subcommittee and look at having at the next general election, that the voters of Carroll County be given the opportunity to make their own decision on how they wanted to elect their commissioners, and make it so that my request of one man, one district was in the bill, but that at the next general election in November, the voters be given the opportunity to vote on it. We're one of 3 counties that do it differently. Sullivan does it like we do, and Dover, Stratford's even crazier. They have all 3 from at large, so they could get 3 commissioners from Dover or 3 commissioners from Rochester. I think the way to go is that we each represent a district, and those are the people that can vote for us, those are the people that know us, and it makes far more sense to me. Chairman Umberger's response was that we should be representing the whole county, we should be concerned with the whole county. And I asked her what the difference was between her representing North Conway and the whole state, because when they take their oath, they have to represent the whole state also. I said, I see it exactly the same. I don't believe for 1 minute that you go down there and vote against your constituents in Conway on a bill that helps the other parts of the state. So we had some discussion. But I'm guessing that it will meet quite a bit of opposition. But I honestly believe it's the way to go.
This is the second time that that's gone in,
Yes.
and it didn't pass last time?
No.
Right.
I think it might pass the House this time. As Mr. Chairman told me, don't worry, it'll get killed in the Senate.
Okay, anything you want to report on? Meetings you
No,
attended or anything?
no, not today.
Okay, then I'll open it up for public comment. Go ahead, Melissa.
Regarding the matter of requiring the waste contract to go out to bid for the nursing home,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to agree with what Mr. Chandler said, that RSA 28A, competitive bidding on purchases, only requires that any purchases of equipment or materials exceeding $5,000 shall be by competitive bidding. It doesn't mention anywhere in there contracting for services over $5,000. As a constituent, I would ask you to reconsider spending my tax money to advertise something in the newspaper that doesn't have to be. And the other thing is, Commissioner Babson mentioned the bill about changing how commissioners are elected. I'm wondering the status of the bill that changes whether counties have to have safes or they can have fireproof file cabinets instead.
I believe Mr. Bucco put that in too, Melissa, and that has not been given a hearing time yet.
Okay, thank you.
Or if it has, he hasn't told me and is expecting me to testify, so I'm assuming he'll let me know.
Thank you.
Okay, any further public input? Yes, Mr. Brown?
Mr. Sorensen, when I asked the question whether the trash contract had anything to do with under the temporary injunction of destroying or disposing of county documents,
Right.
you stated that happened in non-public, and how did I hear about it? So are you suggesting that in fact there was discussion about a trash contract to hire someone to destroy and dispose of county documents?
I don't want to make a comment on it because it was done in non-public. I just asked you how you found out about it.
But there was you said that happened in non-public once again. So you're stating that there was actual discussion on hiring a trash contract to destroy and dispose of county documents.
He didn't say that at all, Mr. Brown.
Yes, he just stated it happened in non-public. A second time, he just stated it. It happened in non-public.
I said discussion
The
on
discussion, you didn't
contract.
say that didn't happen.
Well, I guess that goes back to what your definition of what is, just like you said about 10 minutes ago, Commissioner Babson. I mean, once again, how do you have it every way? It's all right for you to chastise Commissioner Kenney for the same thing, but now you want to claim that you're exempt under that same issue.
No, I'm not complaining, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm
I
saying
mean-
it happened in a non-public session, the discussion was in a non-public session, and that's where it's gonna stay.
So there was discussion about destroying county documents.
I don't know.
I just want to say, if that was done in a non-public session, it doesn't also meet the criteria of non-public session 91A to go for that item under non-public.
I don't know.
It's a public manner. It's a public discussion.
Well, the point is, well, I won't make any further comment. Yes, Melissa?
I just, on that same issue, I was wondering then if it appears that there might have been a discussion about this in a non-public, and it appears that that information might have been leaked to someone who then filed for a temporary injunction. Could I ask Commissioner Kenney, since you believe it was an issue not meant for non-public, did you tell someone about it?
No?
Okay, thanks.
That was a no, Commissioner?
That's what she said, no. So there was 5 of us here.
But even if it was, also you admit that stuff has been done in non-public, even if
All
that
I
was,
said there was 5 of
even
us.
if
Four.
that was in non-public,
Four or three.
it doesn't meet the criteria, it's not, you
Yeah,
cannot
you're
go
right,
into
it was 4.
non-public for that.
It was 4 of us.
Can I, sorry,
Follow up, go ahead.
the 4, the 3 commissioners and a minute taker?
No, 3 commissioners and Gwinnett,
Okay,
HR.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to recess until 1 PM?
I will make a motion that we recess until 1 p.m.
Second.
Second, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Please make it unanimous. At that point in time, we'll open up the meeting again and go into non-public by roll call.
I will try to go find those minutes.
Find those minutes, yeah.
Mr. Brown, if you would write down something for me where I lied, would you document?
It's on video.
Well, would you document that,
Sure,
please?
I can, get the video for you too, so you
I
can watch.
don't normally lie, but I may have to clarify what I had said, like I did earlier today. But I don't
Okay,
think I
well-
lied.
Well, no, you did actually lie, Commissioner Sorensen, and as a matter of fact, you went to the extent of throwing your hands up in the air and saying, oh, well, and that's on video.
Okay, if you would find that for me, please.
I believe it's January 18th of 2012.
Thank you.
Thank you.